Greetings ladies and gents, welcome back to the Craft Hammer. I'm your host Stefan, and in today's video we're going to do a quick hobby update of the things that I've been doing in the background. And today's video was actually intended to be a discussion topic on the Space Marine range and their kits as a whole. The overall discussion was supposed to ask, is there too many kits and do they need to kind of be changed up going forward so that it's easier and better for people to collect while also maintaining GW's need for increasing their profits, etc. So I really tried to get that out for today, but unfortunately every time I was trying to record, something kept happening that was messing it up, and it was kind of just a lost cause in the end. So what's gonna happen is that in today's video we'll do a quick update on my hobby, and then next week we will get and make sure that the video for the Space Marine topic is out. As you may have noticed, this video will now be released on Friday, so going forward I'm hoping to do that, as it does seem that the majority of the audience does actually watch the videos on Friday, so it only makes sense to release it then when most people are online. So going forward we will be releasing these videos on Friday, and of course because it's actually been 2 weeks since I ordered the Krieg box, technically today that should be arriving, and I'm hoping to make some content for it over the weekend and over the next while help to start releasing those too. So you're definitely going to see a bit more Krieg content coming up and hobby updates as I go through that box. I'm going to try and go through each of the units, go through the codex, and yeah, just take it from a hobby perspective. Nothing too competitive wise. We're not going to be focusing on whether the rules are good or not. There's plenty much better channels that have videos up, so check those out if that's what you're looking for. But here we're just going to go through the box as a hobbyist, making a little Krieg army so that I can play Astra Militarum as one of my forces. But we'll see that when it comes. First, let's look at the hobby stuff that I managed to do over the past while. And the first thing I'm going to do is point out the base that I've done on this Dreadnought. Can't remember which, I think it's the Ballistus Dreadnought, yeah, that's what it's called. You might have seen it a while back ago with just the stones and nothing else. Of course I put a nice thin layer of a sand paste, which looks pretty decent. Nothing too major. Of course it would be interesting if I had slightly pre-molded a base that big to maybe make like a little valley in between the legs, or a bit more pronounced like cracks in the earth type of thing. But I think what I'm gonna do is once it's primed and painted and then also varnished, I will cover up some of the like big spots like here with a flower and a grass tuft, and that will help break up the flatness of the actual base itself. But overall I am happy with that sand texture, and as you can see I also started it on my Krieg force. Hopefully you're able to pick that up, maybe you'll be better with this one. As I was discussing in the video for when I built these, or maybe I didn't actually say what I plan to do with my little Astra Militarum army, which I had intended to do this before Krieg got their big release. I was actually thinking of doing it for a Cadian force, although maybe slightly change the heads. I actually thought about getting some custom heads for the Cadian shock troops and changing them out, but overall the plan was to put these popsicle sticks and then have the nice sand texture around it so that it's kind of like a trench network in a desert like or an arid terrain feature, lots of sand, dried earth, that type of scenario, and they're all trench based. So that's the plan for the Krieg going forward, and with the box coming in I'm going to give them all a nice sand paste and then prime it and figure out how I'm going to paint it. Most likely these will not have any sort of grass tufts because they are very small and the grass tufts might be very large, unless I can find super tiny ones. That will be something that I'll figure out later at a later stage. And on the left here I did start the retinue for Grimaldus. I wasn't quite sure what colors I was going to use, but I did want to make the little tabards either grey or red, And I do have a lot of red in the army, so I thought, you know what, let's do it grey tabard with a nice bright orange, and I think the squad is going to look decent enough. So I got those two little coats down, got their bases somewhat complete. I will, of course, as I said, for most of these things, once they're varnished, I'll put in some grass and some flowers. And for the majority of my army, for the Space Marines, they have purple flowers. I just like how they contrast against the red. So all of these guys, they're gonna have purple flowers as well. And of course, we're just gonna quickly look at some of the other guys in the retinue. Nothing too major. I will start with the metallics next before going on to the skin, which will probably be the most difficult aspect. Now, two models that are mostly finished, and the reason why I'm saying mostly is because I never got a chance to prime the actual backpacks. So here we have, I can't remember the guy's name. He is from the first Dawn of Fire novel. I think it's Messinius. He is one of the main Space Marines that you follow, and of course he gets a Power Fist from Raboot Guilliman and a nice new plasma pistol. So this is him, except I changed him up to be a captain or lieutenant for my Templars, and I gave him a nice silver and gold shoulder pad there. I think he turned out pretty nice. I am looking forward to finishing off his backpack eventually, and then getting him varnished and adding the grass. So fairly nice, and yeah, hopefully the details come out well on the camera. I always find that cameras never pick up the quality of a model that well, though of course either maybe my quality is not that great, or maybe the camera is just not as fancy as some of the ones that I've seen online, but it does the job. So the next one is a model which some of you might remember from a long time ago. I can't remember the name of the character, but it was sometime at the start of Indomitus, I believe, when the Necrons were out, and this character here would have had a chainsword and a pistol, and he would have had this nice pose. Of course, I wanted to make such a base that is very nice and fancy and use it for something like a captain. So changed it out with the Templar claws. They look pretty decent. He's kind of like a Wolverine. It's not the usual power claw that you normally have. That is a bulky power fist with the blades on it. It is a different updated version where it is far more sleek and definitely makes it look like Wolverine. And of course I gave him a full gold paint job with some silver shoulder pads and then red symbols. I did try to make a green kind of glow on the Necrons, and I did use some contrast paints after I painted the silver. It didn't really turn out as I was expecting with that glow, and instead it kind of just tints the overall silver green, which isn't too bad, but I wish I was able to create a more popping green in like specific rib joints and at the eyes where it's glowing properly. Maybe I'll figure something out and find a tutorial for that, but I think overall it turned nice. Still have to get the backpack finish. I feel like there's a lot of models that I need to do, and then the backpacks will probably come secondary, so we're gonna have a day where it's just painting backpacks. But for now, I think he turned out decent. Again, wait for the varnish and then I'll put a flower or two, and yeah, very happy with how he turned out. So that is everything that I managed to kind of get updated as the week have gone on. Not much, I know. Some things, the paint, I didn't get as much done as I wanted to, and I did manage to finish building quite a few other things, so there's that. I just didn't bother putting it here for the update. But overall, we're going to be building and trying to paint a lot more, especially since the Creed box will come out and should be delivered to my house today, hopefully. And then yeah, it's gonna be a lot of priming, there's gonna be a lot of building, and it's gonna be a very, very busy spring, and hopefully we'll have some nice armies to play some tournaments with over the summer. but we will also use some of the armies that we currently have to go out to tournaments and give you some tournament updates. So for now, make sure to subscribe and like this video, really helps us out. Next week we will try and do the Space Marine topic discussion, and then probably after that I have an idea for another discussion, or it might be a video for the Creed box, and then after that a discussion. So stay tuned, plenty more things to get through, plenty more objectional opinions to throw out there and see how people feel about them. So far everything's been pretty positive, so not too bad. And yeah, we'll see what happens in a week or two. So until next time, take care folks.